So today, as I put it in the WhatsApp, I'm going to speak about 4 subjects. The first subject is a little bit the ethical dilemmas that we are facing and where the people in the world are challenging us in everything that we're going to do now. It's the coming days and weeks. The second thing is this week, Parsha, what is the Tzelem Elokim? We're going to review together 10 different opinions on the definition of that we were created with the Tzelem Elokim. The third point will be the idea, and I don't know if it's that relevant today, but in any case, it's the idea of is there such a concept of Jewish neshama, Yiddish neshama? Is there such a concept? We all know there is, but is it something that always existed? All the different Rishonim agree with that. We see the big machlokes between the Rambam and the Kuzari, and I will try to consolidate both to Rav Kook view of what the shop is about. And if we'll have time, I will share with you the tip on the story between Cain and Hevel, and changes the whole story around. He makes Cain as a tzaddik and Hevel as not a Rosha, but the person which is a bad person. So there is a completely difference in everything that we accept, and also his views on our lives, especially the Haredi traditional life. He's also questioning what I think. So if we'll have time, try to do that as well. We'll have time. Left it on the end because I know people want to know. So is luxury and art are those important elements of we already saw our Kook view, but here we'll see it in the Netziv, which is a more accepted viewpoint. So the first, oui, tu m'entends?
But I think the camera is too far because some words get cut off. So maybe put it. So we'd have to see everyone. Maybe put it closer to you or something because the microphone doesn't catch all the words.
Okay. Maybe it is the internet. Okay, I hope. Okay, so you tell me if it doesn't work. Okay, then maybe maybe I put it on 3G because where I record it on the group without the video. Maybe you can. Anyway, so there is there was a few hundred years ago, the humanity, especially in Europe and Germany, started to think about ethics. How do we define ethics? And they coined 2 words. One of them is called autonomy, and the other word is called heteronomy. Heteronomy means that we humans are not capable to define what is good and what is bad by ourselves. That we need something else from outside, which we call God, to define what is good and what is bad, what is ethical. And then the people at the time developed this autonomy, what they call is that, and they said, no, we can do it ourselves. So we can define ourselves what is good and what is bad. And the main starter of this is called Immanuel Kant, who defined something similar as what Hillel said, kind of, if you don't want things to be done to you, then it means that then you are willing to put it as a law in a country. That means that this is ethical. So it has a trick on how to define what is ethical and not. It's a very interesting viewpoint, and it got developed very much into Germany, especially, and Punkt in Germany, where we know how it ended up. If you think that you know how to do ethical and you know how to define what is good and what is bad, it ends up with Nazism and the most horrific Arzorius that have ever existed in humanity was part of the German culture. But in any case, even the philosophers today, they go away from this autonomy, but they are more pessimistic. They say, since there is no God in their eyes and humans cannot define, so in other words, we are doomed. We are doomed to fail in identifying. This is what some call the postmodernism in this world. The idea that I would like to just put forward is something that I've seen, and I find it very, very interesting. Because when you look in the Posuk, in the second perek of Parshas Bereshis, and he speaks about the Nochosh. So And he went to האיש, ויאמר לאישו, אף כי אומר אלוקים, לא יסורך מכל עץ הגון, ותאמר אישו, אנוכי פרי עץ הגון לא יאכל, וכי עץ אשר בסך הגון, אמר אלוקים לא יסוכלו, ממנו ולא יסיקו בו פן תמוסו. ויאמר אנוכי שלו אישו, לא ימוס תמוסו. It's not true. כי יודע אלוקים, כי ביום אכולכם ממנו, then I will read it, and then I hope that you will understand where I want to go. ונפקחו עיניכם, you will become, the day that you will eat, Hashem knows that your eyes will become smart. V'yisem kelokim, and you will become like God. Yoide toiv v'ro, and you will know between good and bad. In other words, the whole idea of the nochosh and of the eating of the Eitz Hadas is that it will bring us to the realization that v'yisem kelokim, we don't need a God, we can be God ourselves, we can define the ethics of the world. And this is exactly where we are today. It took a few thousand years maybe, but this is exactly where we are today, why we reject, the world rejects a godly intervention, and because it believes that we can ourselves define that we can be like God. We don't need Hashem. We already thank you for the Aseret Dibros. It was very useful as a foundation, but now we can continue ourselves further. So this is really the idea of the Nochosh, that the story of the Nochosh, and it's like a prophecy of how the world is going more and more into that direction, that we believe that we know ourselves the Toiv and Ro. There are two elements which I would like to specifically now address in the current situation. There is what Levinas actually pointed out in the very first Rashi in Bereshit. We would expect the very first Rashi in Bereshit is to give us what I call verticality, in the sense of understanding of Hashem and being grateful to Hashem for creating a beautiful world, etc., etc. So give us the first Rashi. What does Rashi says? They should start from the first mitzvah that we have to do, which is the Kiddush HaChodesh, Pesach, etc. משום כך מעשוב הגיד לעמוי, לא עושה להם נחלס גויים, שאם יאמרו אומוס אוילום לישראל ליסטים אתם, שכיבשתם ארצו שיבוס הגויים, הם אומרים להם כל האורץ של הקדוש ברוך הוא בורו ונוסנו לאשר יושר בעינו ברצונו נוסנו להם, ושרצונו נעלה מהם ונוסנו לנו. So basically the first Rashi is an ethical Rashi, an ethical question. How can we Jews who are nomads from nature claim a land and wanting to live in the land, which is opposite of our history? And this is an ethical question. So the first question of Rashi, he addresses a question which is an address, it's continuously being addressed in the now as well. Do we have a claim on this land or not? And this is already the first Rashi tells us that the why is Bereshis is to give an answer, which is the answer for ourselves at least, is that we should not feel like we are taking away from the people that are living there, but this land belongs to us. So in other words, the very first Rashi speaks about ethics, about the question of ethics and how these questions can be addressed and should be addressed. But then also, there is the story of Avraham. Avraham discovered Hashem, and Hashem already chose him. And we all know that Avraham has the tchunos of Rachamim and Chesed and Rachamim. And the question is, if you look on Avraham, the stories, somehow Avraham has been challenged with two stories which are very similar to what we are challenged today as well. The first story is that suddenly his brother, or his stepbrother, if you want, his brother's son, his nephew, is taken as a hostage by enemy. And so he has an issue. Avraham has an issue. The Torah gives a whole story. We don't know why, but the Torah tells us the whole story. That Avraham, being a Rachamim, or the way I understand it, is Avraham being a Rachamim who treasures human life very highly. The question is, should I wage a war which will kill hundreds of people and looting and everything, which is not very ethical, in order to save one innocent hostage, which is the family of Lloyd? So this is a big question which you can ask yourself. And this is exactly what Avraham did and he decided that it is, that even though it goes against his nature of Rachamim, which he was the father of Rachamim, so much of Rachamim that Avraham himself could not be the father of our nation. We needed the Yitzchok, which is the Pachad Yitzchok, which is the Din. Yitzchok is Gevura, is the opposite of Avraham. And we needed those two together in order to have a Yankov, which tries to balance both Rachamim and Gevura together. But Avraham, which is the biggest symbol of Rachamim, understood that for saving a hostage, we are obliged to actually go into a war, and even though it's going to cost a lot of human lives, and the question is, why are those human lives then, 100 deaths for one hostage? Is it really worth it? But Avrom did not think, and he said, no, this is now the time is to fight. So this is a story of Lloyd. And the second story of Avrom, which also doesn't seem to give us any hints in why did the Torah tell it to us, was the story of Sdom, where Hashem said to Avrom that he's going to punish them. Sdom is a city which is it's made a lot of averos, homos, and all the other things. And Sdom actually, so Avrom, the question that Avrom had with Hashem was all about what we call today collective punishment. The whole story, what did Avrom say to Hashem? Hashem, yeah, but if there are 50 good people, will you kill them also? So in other words, collateral damage. Are you going to kill the whole city because of a few bad people? But what about the ones that are good? So the whole discussion between Avrom and HaKadosh Baruch Hu was about where is there a place for collective punishment, which is exactly what the world is claiming on us. And that Hashem said, and this discussion is a valid discussion because Avrom had it with Hashem, but Hashem said that, and at the end he said, okay, if there are 10, that's it. If there are 10, I will not. But theoretically, there is such a concept of collective punishment. Unfortunately, we don't understand because, as we said before, we don't believe in autonomy. Human beings cannot understand ethics by ourselves. We need a God to tell us what is ethical. And in these cases, we saw the three elements that we are dealing today as a story in the Chumash that are telling us that you have to understand that God, Hashem, is telling us what is good and what is bad, and that collective punishment is part of an ethical way of dealing with removing Ra. That's a very important mitzvah that it's repeated many times in the Torah, that removing the bad, the Ra, the evil, the Evil, Ayin, Vov, Lamed, it's probably from the same Shoresh, that in the English word evil. The removing evil of the world is one of the main objectives of, as I explained you, one of the 7 objectives of the reason why we are born. What is our tafkid on the world is to remove evil and to increase kedusha and to increase good in order to give to Hashem a dira batachtoinim, to give him a place where he can be living on this world. This is a very important, and the kirbecho means in Eretz Yisrael. And so when in Eretz Yisrael there is Ra, then you have to really ubiach to romi kirbecho, and then collective punishment is not an issue, as we saw, and especially if there are hostages that are involved in them, then there is a very good reason for saving hostages that you have to go into the land. Even Avrom, which was the symbol of Rahmonis, which was the exaggeration, the how do you call it, caricature of Rachamim in the world, he himself understood and he waged the war against it, and he also understood. Hashem told him that collective punishment is something which is part of the ethics, especially when it comes to Birach to Romi Kirbecho. And this is the part. Now, of course, this does not help us in Hasbara, as they call it, because we have to base ourselves on the Chumash, but at least it gives us personally, me, as you already told you, I am a humanist. So for me, it's quite difficult to feel that issues of collective punishment, little babies, even Palestinian babies, which are hurt, and it hurts me as well. But I have to believe that Hashem is the way. Don't believe. That's why we have a God, is to help us in identifying the ethics, and so basically we have to believe in this element of ethics as both as this land belongs to us. We have a claim on it. That's why the whole Sefer Bereshis, God is the creator, and there is a creator, and it is the creator himself that decides to give it to Klal Yisrael. That saving a hostage means waging war is valid. You can wage a war where you know that thousands of people will die, but just to save one person or one family, family of Lloyd. And the third element, that collective punishment on itself is something which Hashem himself and Avraham Avinu had this argument, this debate, where they have a debate, and what about 50? There's a whole the Torah is I don't, strangely enough, gives us a whole page full of pesukim of how far does it go, 50, 40, I don't remember anymore, but then it goes on and it starts by 10. It's like an exaggerated discussion, is to show us that this issue is an issue. It's a valid issue, but the Torah is telling us no. There is a point where collective punishment is still ethical. And you're going to say, how I don't feel it ethical? Because if you say you don't feel it, because you from an autonomic perspective, you're right, but the ethics is not autonomy. It is heteronomy. We have a creator that tells us, and he understands better than we can understand. At the long term, we will see that.
Where do we see the
That's what they claim, is that
so where was like
the whole chasing the whole population and bombing and having collateral damage.
now
The whole
today,
Gaza,
they're not in tiny things of a phone.
Yeah, the Stoim. Hashem will destroy the whole Stoim,
No.
and then there are some tzaddikim. So that's the
For
discussion.
the 10 tzaddikim, he would save the
He
whole
will say,
Stoim.
yeah, but that was a discussion, a debate between Avraham and Hashem. What about the 10 tzaddikim? So Hashem said, you're right, 50, no, I will not destroy. I will not collect the punishment. But for 10, if less than 10, yes, something like that.
9.
Yeah, but there is this debate. What I want to just to say that this debate is not new. It's not now. It's something which existed at the beginning of our nation, and that this is the ethics that we have to.
The conclusion is not very clear. Right. Yeah. Also, if you don't know how many righteous
No. Yeah, what you do? No.
Ratio to 10, no?
What? Sorry.
A ratio of 10.
Yeah, well, no, it's 10 absolute numbers. There's no ratio.
And what about kids? Are they considered tzaddikim because they are they not considered?
Yeah, there is also, we see in the Torah, as I explained, I will explain later, but the Rambam explains that the whole Torah is to help us in our character traits. That's the true noise. We'll see later, we'll discuss a little bit more in detail, but these, so sometimes the Torah teaches us not, the Rambam always says it's never good to be extreme in anyone. Rachmanus, too much Rachmanus is not good, and too much Achzorius is also not good, so you have to always look for the middle path. And sorry?
That's Tiferes, that's Yaakov.
That's Yaakov, exactly, yeah. Tiferes, yeah, okay, yeah.
Avram didn't go against his character.
Yeah.
Avram just used his
Rachmem, and yet
he uses Rachmem to go against Stoim or against. He didn't use the opposite. He just concentrated Rachmem. Rachmem doesn't mean Rachmem can be also war. I mean, that can also be
apparently that's what I wanted to show now, that Rachmem can also mean war. But in general, what you just said before is that Yaakov is what I explained, that Abraham is Rachmem, Yitzchak was Gevura, is din, and Yaakov is the one that actually makes the synthesis. It balances both. Is the one that what? Sorry.
Torah.
Very good, yeah. And the whole Torah teaches us how we can follow. That's what the Rambam says. When you follow the mitzvahs in the Shmoyne Prokim before the Proverbs, that the Torah helps us in finding the right balance between Rachmanis and Achzorius. So that's why you should not be completely Rachmanis. That's why maybe the Iranidachas. Iranidachas is a good example. Iranidachas, where children and women are also being eliminated. That's a very good example. The Torah tells us it was never existed, but at least we have to realize that ethics does not mean Avraham Rachamim, where everybody has a right and etc. There is also kind of, we have to realize Amalek and Iranidachas, there are two elements which are teaching us that if we go too much into Rachmim, then that's not what Hashem wants. Hashem wants what we call the unification of the values. That's Tzedakah or Mishpat. Those two things together, as I explained always, are what makes Jewish nation, where we have to share with the world. This is money to big unification, unité des valeurs, the values which are both rachamim but also mishpot, justice. And those two together is difficult to either it's rachamim or mishpot. To be able to combine both, to find the right balance, is very difficult. And the Torah is what helps us in achieving that balance.
Last one that they are we talking about that compare it with hundred that they want to justice, or it means if 100 innocent enemies that they want to run that
No. What I just wanted to share with you was, I'm not going to give you now an halachic answer on ethics. Just that these questions that we have today is exactly the same questions that existed already at the beginning of when we became Jews.
What was the people dying?
That's Palestinians.
No, not talking about that. I'm talking about the example you gave.
In Sdoim, so in Sdoim you have the collective punishment, and then you have saving Lot. So what happened in the story is that Lot was captured by some kings, and Avraham heard, and then he had a dilemma: what do I do now? Apparently, so he said Avraham went and he made a war. So he took soldiers with him, and instead of learning, he was more of somebody who taught monotheism. He was, I'm not going to say the word guru, but you understand what I'm saying. He was a kind of a teacher and not a warrior. Abraham was not a warrior. And he decided to become a warrior. And that's something where Hashem saw, okay, he's indeed a good person. I chose the right person because I need somebody that can also go to war, like you said, with Rahmanas, but he can go to war as well. Because this is the one that I need. I need a person that knows when there is Rahmim and he knows also when there is war. And that's the point to save person's life, an hostage, then we also need to perform again. Okay. Okay. So just for Moshe quickly, because I know he came for the first part, especially. He told me that I should speak about that, but just quickly, the idea of where humanity believes that it can find its own ethics, that this is called the autonomy. This is already Nochosh. The Nochosh saying that when you're going to eat from the Eitz Hadas, then you will feel like Elokim, that you are Yoide Toivara, that the human beings believe that they can become ourselves ethics, and that we don't need Hashem to tell us what is good, what is bad. And then I explained that the situation of today, both the first Rashi in Chumash, which is an ethical Rashi, an ethical discussion, does this land belong to us? So we say yes, because Hashem is the one, the creator of the world, gave it to us. The second part is there validity in waging a war to save hostages? That's a Loit, the story of Avraham Avinu, which was the symbol of Rachamim. He was a teacher, decided to go for a war, and he says, no, there is ethics. It defines me that I have to go and wage a war in order to save a few hostages. So it is kedai to kill, to murder, to kill other people for saving hostages. So this is a story of Lloyd, which was probably a challenge for Avraham Avinu as being Rachmim, also to try to wage a war. And the collective punishment is also the story of Avraham, which is with Sdoim, where Sdoim, the discussion between Avraham Avinu and Rebbeinu Shlomo on collective punishment is, if there are some tzaddikim in the city, are you going to punish the whole city? And this is the whole idea of collective punishment started already in the beginning. So I just wanted to say, I'm not paskening any halachic statement on ethics. I'm just that the ethical discussion that we are facing today was already an ethical discussion at the beginning of when we became the Jewish nation of Hashem. Yeah. Yuda, can you put, or can you, it was Alain, can you put yourself on mute, please? Unless you have a question. Thank you. The second point is what is a Tzelem Elokim? So we know that we were created in Tzelem Elokim. There is in the academic world, it's a very nice, the academic world, they say that Tzelem Elokim is the Tzelem Elokim that Hashem created us is because in the time when this Torah was presented to Klal Yisrael, they lived in Mitzrayim. The Taroi and the clergy they were the only ones that actually had the Tzelem Elokim. So they are the ones that were going to go to the next world because they are superior human beings. And so they believed in that there are some superior human beings, and you have human beings that are just human beings, but they do not deserve a world to come in Olam Habo. And so therefore this idea that the Tzelem Elokim is universal, that the whole humanity was created with Tzelem Elokim, is the message that the Bereshis wanted to teach us here, is that we are all equal. We all have the Tzelem Elokim. So any human beings in this world has a Tzelem Elokim, and that is the message to give us that there is what we call equality in values and in social status, that we are all equal in the eyes of Hashem, that we all can achieve the same, and that there is nobody that is born into noblesse, noble, or whatever it is, clergy, I don't know, you call them, the priests and etc., which are more equal, as they say, than others.
But you do see with Kohanim and Levim.
Oh, but even the Kohanim and the Levim, Hashem told them that they're not allowed to have land. So that's what I wanted to show. Yeah, the Kohanim and Levim were chosen, especially after the Egel. In the originally, it would have been for everybody, the Bechorim also. The firstborn would be the ones that would do the avoidance in Mishkan, in the Beis HaMikdash. But since the Egel, Hashem saw that it's not a good idea, and so he chose one people, but in order to avoid them thinking that they are better than us, Hashem said that those are not allowed to have land, which was one of the biggest problems in this time, was that these people who were superhumans, they also had a lot of land and richness. And so they had to go and beg the Trumas and Maestras from the Israel. So although they were the priests, they were the Kohanim, but they still needed to go and be dependent on the farmers.
Which maybe also they couldn't become kings is also maybe part of it.
Couldn't become kings, exactly, very nice, yeah, only from Yehuda, eventually not from, that's why the Hashmonaim were a bit criticized for that, for taking kingdom as well. So let's trying to keep an equality between all humans. So it's a very nice explanation. The Rambam, he goes and he says that Tzelem Elokim, which we were created. So what is the Tzelem Elokim? He says this is the intellect. It's the Tvuno. And we'll come back to that later. So it is purely our intellect. We have an intellect which is similar to the intellect, similar in the sense that it is comparable. We can achieve, let's put it that way, we can achieve godly intelligence through our development of our own intellect. So we are capable of coming close to understanding what is God. And that is why for the Rambam, the biggest achievement that a person can achieve on this world is Da'as Hashem. I always repeat it, is to know Hashem. And he's very much into the intellect. He's a rationalist. And he says that all the rest you have to control, and they can help you, even emotions. You have to control them, but you have to use them in order to develop your intellect. But it is the pure intellect, the rational intellect, that has to be purified and lifted up in order to come to a knowledge of Hashem, is to understand what Hashem is and who he is. So his Rambam is extremely what we call vertical. So he's one of the, yes. Ça a l'air d'être la finalité, ouais. L'action, ouais. So we'll come to that.
Une personne a très bien compris l'œil, le cœur,
Ils don't pas. Alors c'est pour ça that's why. So the question is it a finality? So that's the debate, or is it to
someone actually of that, and you really understand some sort of what you like, kind of maybe that you fully understand and get that know about what is maybe.
Yeah, that means in other words that he didn't. That's a symptom that his knowledge of Hashem is not perfect. But he also believes that by giving you are changing your techunos, your character trait, and by changing your character traits, it impacts also your intellect. So he believes that the intellect is influenced by your character, personality. and therefore you have to improve. As long as if you don't give tzedakah, it means, in other words, that your tchunas are being blocked, your emotions, and those are blocking your intellect. So he believes in the Aristoteles idea that the tchunas is what makes a human human.
We live in a physical world over here, so as before Torah, the intellect was the Noach, for example, was connected, was connected to the higher together.
Yeah.
This is expressing it to the physical being.
Yeah.
The higher. If you keep them separate, what's the point of this world? Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Well, the point of living in the world is that the Ramak, he will use it, is to do good for the others. It's ethical. That we live in this world in order to perform acts of kindness to each other.
That's by connecting two worlds together. So you
no,
actually
not necessarily. That's what you explained, but you can also see it purely as this world. I have to literally give food for the other. And where do I connect it to the world? I'm not doing any verticality. I don't do any meditation. I'm always showing nice to be nice with a fellow person. According to the Ramak, it is a very horizontal relationship. I am closer, I am resembling God, like God is doing kindness to others. I also have to do kindness to others. So according to the Ramak, you might argue with me, it's not true, the Ramak doesn't, I'm doing a bit of caricaturization, so in order to be more, but you're right, you could say still, but I'm doing it in order to resemble God, or like Levinas say, I do it because my relationship with God is through the other. But that's already the philosophical discussion, because the other person is also Tzelem Elokim, and by hitting him, by hurting him, I'm hurting Hashem. Somebody who hurts another person is going to be the There's a lot of points like that you are with the because the other person is also a Tzelem Elokim. So we have here, we can say the horizontality becomes the verticality, etc. This is the Ramak. So the Ramak indeed is the capacity and the potential to look after the other, and other means everybody, both other people, but also animals. We have the capacity to do that. That's part of the Tzelem Elokim, which normally animals don't have. The Chazkuni, he is extremely against the idea of comparing ourselves with Elokim. So Tzelem Elokim, for him, is chas v'sholem to say that we resemble God. Nothing can be resembled to godliness. Godliness is completely transcendent. There's nothing that we have in this world that can be even compared to Elokim, something which we cannot understand. And so he gives a more grammatic and vocabulary lesson. He tells us Elokim maybe means a dayan. Elokim is normally Elohim means a dayan, a shofet, a judge is Elohim. Elohim means a judge as well in the Torah a lot of time. So it's like we have a judge, we can judge whatever, I don't know, it can be dayonim and shoftim. It can also, he reverses the word that Vayivra Elokim es Odom, that Tzalmoi b'Tzelem, and then he's kind of saying Elohim goes back to the Vayivro. So the Vayivro, like Elokim es Odom b'Tzalmoi. But then the word b'Tzelem, he tries to change a little bit the order of the words. And like the Ibn Ezra explained, Elokim means the Malochim. So it refers to Nase Odom, it is the Malochim. Hashem gave to the Malochim, you should create the humans. And then they say, oh, we can create the humans, let's create them in our image. So it is the Malochim that are creating in the image of the Malochim. But it doesn't go at all, the Chazkuni does not want to go at all on the level of God, which is a Yochid, nobody agrees with him. They're all referring back to godliness. The Kabbalists, the Mekubolim, they see the Tzelem Elokim as when I do something, everything that a human does, when an animal does something, nothing happens up there. When a human being does something, something happens in the high world. So there's a direct, like a string attached between me and the high worlds. Everything that I'm doing, my movement, my acts, and my thoughts, they all are connected with the higher worlds, and I can change. So I have the power to change, to increase, but also chas v'sholem to decrease, to destroy worlds that are up there. So there is a direct link, which is the Tzelem Elokim, my capacity. The fifth, Rabbi Yosef Ber Soloveitchik, he speaks about the Tzelem Elokim as being a majestic man, that I have a control and I can conquer the world. So in other words, the human beings are on top of the chain, of the food chain, human beings, and that is the Tzelem Elokim. I have the capacity to destroy, to build it. The one that I always use in every of my shiurim is the Dubne Magid, which is also Rav Kook and Manitou, is the Tzelem Elokim is the Koyach HaBechira, means that I have the capacity to choose, I have free will. That we are the only ones that can go against our instinct. All the animals, they cannot restrain themselves when it comes to their instinct. We have the capacity to control our instincts and to not to do something or to choose to do something which goes against all our values, etc. So we are free. We have the free will. It's to go against those who believe that we are of determinism, that everything that happens is a chemical reaction in my brain. No, we have the free will. We can go against, and therefore we can be judged as well. Otherwise, if everything is only chemical, so why do you punish me for doing something? I did not have the capacity to change, to do that. So the Rambam is very much into Bechira means responsibility. So it is freedom is go together with responsibility. There is no responsibility, there is no freedom. Therefore, freedom is, and therefore they see the Tzelem Elokim, like Hashem is free to do everything, we are also have the freedom to decide what we're going to do. And then there are two, the Ramban and the Maharal, who actually are defining Tzelem Elokim more the elements which combines, as a bit what you said, the connection between this world and the transcendent world, the Ruchnistic world. And so the Ramban holds that the Tzelem Elokim is the Neshama. So it is the Neshama, which is the Nitzchis part. This is Tzelem Elokim. So Hashem put Tzelem Elokim, he put us, we humans are defined by our Neshama. My identity is defined by my Neshama, and this Neshama will never die. So the body can die, but the Neshama never dies. And so that's the Tzelem Elokim. As the Elokim is Netzach, is eternal, the Neshama is also eternal. So they define the Neshama as being the Tzelem Elokim. The Maharal is a bit surprisingly, the Maharal defines the Tzelem Elokim as the body. So literally the body. Our body resembles the actual body. That's why the Tayag mitzvahs is Ramach Evorim and Sheso Gidin. So the mitzvahs are also connected to our bodies. The body is a Tzelem Elokim. And for example, the fact that we are Homo erectus, the fact that we are straight, the only one that are standing straight, is a sign of the Tzelem Elokim. That's why we are conquering the world and we are in control of the world. And we have a potential, we are majestic, a bit like the Virtual Bear Solovich, very similar to the Virtual Bear in general. And also the face. The face is also, he says, this is particularly human faces has a particularity which other animals don't have, and therefore this is a Tzelem. So he focuses on really on the body parts as well as being Tzelem. Now, to come to the next element, so we have seen 9 different views. As you see, they are going all directions. In other words, we don't have a soires from the Gemara. The Gemara never discusses it. What is a Tzelem Elokim? This is not a subject that was interesting for the time. In the time of the Gemara, it only came later as being, what does it mean, Tzelem Elokim? The Orachaim, he on this week's parsha, he focuses on this double. There is Vayivra Elokim es Odom. He created the humans, Betzalmoi, with his Tzelem, Tzelem Elokim. What does it mean, Betzalmoi, Tzelem Elokim Boro Oiso? So why does there is a repetition? And the Orachaim gives a very, today it can be debatable, is Betzalmoi means the Betzalmenu, Bitmuseinu, which it says before, that's every human being. But the Tzelem Elokim is a double. Why? Because some receive the Tzelem Elokim, which is the Israel. So here's the first time that we start to see suddenly that the Israel, there is a Tzelem Elokim as the nations, they have a Tzelem Elokim, but Israel, they have a Tzelem, and then the nations have, and this is the nations, and the Israel have a Tzelem Elokim. So the Tzalmoi, this is for everybody, but the Tzelem Elokim, it's 2 separate things. And the Tzelem Elokim only Israel have received. And the the way that I've seen it being brought down, so how did it work? Because he created Odom. So Odom Rishon had still the Tzelem Elokim. Then after the sin of Odom Rishon, it disappeared. And when Avraham Avinu came into the picture, it reappeared. So it's like only Avraham Avinu and his children that actually have a Tzelem Elokim. And but in between it disappeared. So this is the element of the Tzelem Elokim. So this is a special neshama, and we will see later, we will see soon what does it mean.
And it also
The Rambam says, because normally the Rambam will see it, the Rambam does not believe in Jewish soul, but Rambam says that there is clearly certain elements of Trunos that have to be Jewish, and if you see a Jew which is an Arzori, which is brutal, then you should question his yichus, his and this is not in Moyer Nevurim, that's already in Yad HaChazoka he mentioned it. Yeah, yeah. So that's what.
No, but he said if you would be Jewish.
No. Well, if you would be Jewish, you would go quicker.
Basically,
yeah. We'll see. We'll come to that. So it's very interesting because Rav Pinkus, he gets something very interesting. He says like that the animals were created. They were both created from the Boin Shalom said to the earth. He says, so the animals were created from the earth. The land should give nefesh chayo. So that is the nefesh and the chayo. So the idea of both life and the body, that together it's both created from the land. But Vayomer Elokim nase odem betzalmeinu. There it is nase, as the Ramban explains. This is the earth together with the Shomayim. So it's the Ruchnius and the Gashmius. So human beings are created in a combination between the Ruchnius and the Gashmius. So it is the Nase. Nase is we shall make. Who is the we? So the Ramban explains this is Hashem says, I will do it, Shomayim will do it together with the earth. So I'm asking you together with me, let's do something particular, unique. Let's create the human. So this is the idea of the humans. We are a combination. The animals are also alive, but they are created from the earth himself. And then the Jew, as Rav Pinkus explained, that's in Perek Beis. As we know, I'm not going to start again. There is a lot of contradictions between Perek Aleph and Perek Beis. But in Perek Beis, the Boin Shloim Vayitzer Hashem Elokim es Odom over min Adomo Vayipach ba'apov Nishmas Chaim. That's Hashem himself goes and he adds the Nishmas Chaim. That is a Tzelem Elokim. That is Jewish, according to Rav Pinkus and. Wow. You mean Elokeinu in? Yeah, okay. But he says Hashem Elokim. The question is the Yud Kei Vov Kei here Shem Etzem or Shem Torah, like Ibn Ezra? It's a good question. I like the question, but normally, according to Ibn Ezra, this Hashem is still not Yud Kei Vov Kei that you're referring to. The Yud Kei Vov Kei only by the snare, only by Moshe Rabbeinu that Hashem presented himself as Yud Kei Vov Kei. That's the first time. But in here, the Hashem is still his name. It's just it's not his verb. It's not a verb. It's a pure name from him. It's like Ari Porush, not the consent, not Yud Kei Vov Kei that creates, that can do, that has a personality.
Inside was the Kesser,
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. But that's the Kesser and the Chochmah. That's later. That's where Hashem reveals himself. Until then, Hashem only reveals himself as Elokim, which is the Midas Hadin. And then there is already Hashem Elokim, which is, I think, after the birth of.
That might be the potential of the soul. Again, we'll get that.
There is already a beginning. It's like going down. Hashem always has, then he goes down, Hashem Elokim, and then the first time, then sometimes it's Hashem, but that's Hashem is only his name. And then by the snare comes the Hashem as Yud Kei Vov Kei, Eke Asher Eke, and the Onoichi Hashem, etc. These are already the Yud Kei Vov Kei, which are the 10 Spiros, the Chochmah Til Malchut. But that's how the Ibn Ezra. But you don't have to follow Ibn Ezra. You could say indeed that this is the Yud Kei Vov Kei refers to the same. It's not closed subject. You can develop your own ideas if you have. But this is how Rav Pinkus explains that animals are created from one, and humans are created from the Shomaim and the Oretz, but it's still part of the universe, which is the Ruchnis and the Gashmis. And we Jews are created by the Vipach of Nishmas Chaim, which is the Chelik Elokam Mal. So this is already the neshama which we have. That's a general idea. This idea of a Jewish neshama is also impact and explains the Gemara. We use that to explain a Gemara which nobody understands unless you use it that way. So when a goy becomes a Jew, he's allowed to theoretically, not allowed to the Rabbanon, but he's allowed to marry his sister and etc. because he's considered like a new creation. And that's the idea that he receives a new neshama. That's the idea behind that. Yeah, the Minater, yeah. He doesn't have any, there's no more yichus at all with his children. Theoretically, there is no, because it's like a new creation. That's how we explain it today, the Gemara. But we can also find other ways to explain it. But that's how I always knew that we have a Jewish neshama, because that is like a new creation. The Rambam is what we know already. He is very much of a rationalist. He does not believe in these type of metaphysicality. As we said, he doesn't believe in Tumah Tahara, in Kedusha and Chulin. He is very much a rationalist, like Aristo, that everything has to be rational. And he probably would believe in, like the Gemara says, Loi hames metame veloi hamayim metarim elokach zeros hamelech. So there is no Tumah Tahara really, but everything is only a way that we have to behave as if there is. So he does not believe very much in these things. He's a very Cartesian, rational.
Where did it say that? Sorry, that.
There is a medrash that says Loi hames metame veloi hamayim metarim. That's what Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai said to his Talmidim, that there is no such a thing. So he would probably use that Ma'amar Chazal to define his worldview of the Torah, and therefore he counts each tumah as a separate mitzvah say in his Tayag mitzvahs. So I gave already a few times the shiur to explain to you why does the Rambam count each tumah, Ava tumah, as a separate mitzvah. The Ramban asks him, what is the this is just a fact that something is tumah. What is the mitzvah say that something is tumah? So we explained it because the Rambam is very rational, and he believes that he can explain it from a behavioral perspective, I prefer. So he avoids a lot the metaphysical reality. He believes in reality should be physical. And he also developed a lot the idea, as we explained, of the tuchunos. So the tuchunos, I don't know how to translate that, but it's character traits, personality traits. I always believe that it is the chinuch that came up with this idea that you can change your tuchunos by performing acts. So if I am a stingy person, how do I become a more giving philanthropist? It's by giving. So the Rambam says by giving, by performing, it will eventually be part of you, that you can change that. And I thought this is the chinuch. Then I've seen that this is the Rambam, Mishmoin Elokim. And then I realized only not so long ago that Aristotle already said that. So the Rambam was a comment of Aristotle. And the idea is that the whole purpose of the humans is to actually to develop the personality trait, and that you can develop and you can reach an ideal human being by performing opposite of what you're missing. So if you are a bit stingy, then you have to perform acts of kindness. If you are afraid, you are not very courageous, then you should put yourself in situations where you are being courageous. So it's a bit the idea, and this is already from Aristotle. So Aristotle, I checked it on Google, and it gave me indeed, Aristotle says that. You have to understand, this is something else which is very interesting. We believe when you ask a child, what do you want to become? So the child would answer, I want to become a lawyer, I want to become a doctor, I want to become. When you would have asked in the time of Aristotle, what do you want to become? Then they would answer you, I want to become courageous. I want to become a philanthropist. I want to become strong in mind. So the idea of how people saw life was completely different. It was more of a character traits which people were striving for. Success does not mean success in a job, which is today we identify ourselves with a job, which is interesting. At the time of Aristotle, it was the Greek, they developed themselves in character traits. What I'm trying to become is not the job. The job was just a mean to get money, but the idea was to develop my character traits. That was in the school of Aristotle. And the Rambam takes that over very much, and he speaks a lot about that, and he has a whole Shmoine Pokim, like a medical book on how can you change your character traits and the importance of changing the character trait. And as I explained to you, the character traits are important because without them, you cannot develop the intellect. So this is the intellect is the most important part of us humans. And this intellect, we Jews do not have any advantage over the others. He does not speak about that. He doesn't speak about at all about the fact that there is a neshama that is apparently a Jewish neshama. He actually, we will see, he says that the only difference that we have with the Goyim is that we were chosen by Hashem and to receive the Torah. And thanks to the Torah is a very effective way to help us in reaching our goal, which is Das Hashem, and developing our character traits, that without that, we cannot have the purity of the intellect. So basically, for him, the difference between us and the Goyim are purely that we are lucky. He chose us to give us the Torah, and for the rest, there is no difference between. But he does mention that the children of Avraham Avinu, they are Rachmonim, Raishonim, and Goyim Lechasodim. So he does mention that as a trait. So we are starting already with some traits which are genetically advanced in terms of where we should become. But for the rest, it is only through the Torah that we can develop that act of reaching the summum of what humanity can reach. Rambam, yeah. Yeah, that is the same thing. So yeah, yeah, but you, okay, because you believe that he has a Jewish neshama and therefore he has already, but the Rambam does not have to. So it can also mean that no, if you are, that the idea is that you can either by.
No, but if the rights are sure.
Hitting, yeah. 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 It has to be. Yeah. I thought that you were asking something else. Yeah. Okay. Now I thought that you meant that somebody does not want to perform a mitzvah, very much
No.
So you mean by the get? Okay, but they also, I mean, that's not a steer with what I just said. It's
no, but because here.
Yeah. So
after the Malchus.
Yeah, but I say we have an advance. We don't start from the same level as the Goyim, but the Goyim also can reach, and we can reach. And we are reaching quicker because we have the Torah, and the Goyim don't have the Torah. But if they would like to have the Torah, they can also reach. So the Rambam is the Torah is very. I already spoke about it. The Torah is very universal. A Goy can put on tefillin, and it will help him. A Goy can mala himself. It will help him. So it will help him in reaching a goal. But there is no goal that only Jews can reach on the Goyim. No. Yeah. Genetics. Yichus. Yeah. Genetics. Pure what we call today genetics, which is a very racist approach. But that's genetics. There is also something else which is Ashgocha. Hashem has a specific Ashgocha with us. So he gave us a Torah. We are Metzuvim B'Oiser. The Goyim can also do it, but there ain't no Metzuvim B'Oiser. And because we are Metzuvah, so if we don't do, it's not only that we will not reach, but Hashem will punish us because he needs us to be successful. He needs us to be successful. So he says, if you're not going to try, I will punish you until I will push you. You have to be successful. Because I need you to build me a house in school, and I've got nobody else to ask.
The
And so I'm
by the way, done with stuff that can't be done
Yeah.
on average higher, right?
be careful, it's recorded, and it's I will try to erase it. No, but yeah.
And reach the
No, but it's that's the view of the Rambam. The Rambam, he says that the Goyim and the Jews, they have not, in terms of the neshama, there's not a big difference. It's no different. It doesn't speak about that, and we shall see. The Kuzari is the one that is really controversial today, because the Kuzari believes that there is a doimem, the somer, there is odom, and then he speaks about the soil, and he says that the soil, only soil has the capacity to have this, what we can call today mystical intuition, which enables us to receive what we call prophecy, nevuah. So only the Jews are capable of receiving nevuah.
And what about the non-Jews in the Torah who had nevuah?
Oh, so that's a lot of questions are asked on the Kuzari, and there's many more, and indeed, but it is the Kuzari says it clearly, but not only that, and he says it also, which is a little bit more shocking, even more shocking, so we should not spread it around. אך גם אחרי אשר קיבל עולוב כל אלה, לא ישווה הגר לבין ישראל מלידו. There he makes a difference between a ger tzedek, and ישראל מלידו. כי בן ישראל רק הוא רואה לנבואה. ואילו הגרים, תכלס אפשרוסם וקבלם בני ישראל אסתרוסם, הליוז לחסידים ולחכומים, אך לא לנביאים. So the Rambam, the Kuzari has a very interesting view. He believes really that the only people that can have nevuah are the Jews, and even if you convert yourself to Judaism, you are not at the level to receive a nevuah. The Meshech Chochma, he says no.
You have all the
Gerim, yeah, Chachomim, but not Nevi'im.
The biggest halama.
Yeah, again, a lot of them, Shmai, Naftali, not Nevi'im, but Chachomim. About Chochom, Odiv Novi. The Gemara says Chochom is Odiv, is more important than a Novi. It's a high level than a Novi. Novi Mikir B'cho says the Meshech Chochma, Pirush the Avger Esmait, Gemoi Gabe Melech, Rak Mimufra Shebe-Ochicho. Rak Nevoso Lo Yoyo, She'ovyom Ali Yisrael She'yaso Ezevo. So when you see that there are Ovadia, there's a Gemara in Sanhedrin, and Ovadia was a ger, and he was a Novi. So yeah, he's only a Novi for his own people. So Bilam was only a Novi for his own people, and so you have Gerim, but they're only Gerim for their own. That's how the Meshech Chochma wants to explain it. Sorry?
They also only get Nevi'im by night.
So there are a lot of, they want to say there are so many different levels on the VM. So certain types of the VM they cannot get, but they can get other types. Ruach HaKodesh they can, and Nevuah not. So you have thousands of answers of how to consolidate. The Rambam clearly writes in Igeres Teimam, he clearly writes in Igeres Teimam that because I don't know. Anyway, yeah. The Rambam in Igeres Teimam clearly writes that the Nevi'im can be from the Goyim as well. That there is no difference. He says that because the people in Teimam, there were some Nevi'im came, Muslim Nevi'im came to their cities and told them things, and so he said to them, you should not believe in them, not because they are Goyim, because that's not a reason, because then he said, gives a whole list, gives a whole list of Goyim that were Nevi'im, but because what they say is rubbish. It's rubbish, check it. But it's not because they were Goyim, because the Rambam believes that the Goyim can also become Nevi'im. So you see here, very interesting. So for the Rambam, the difference between the Jew and the non-Jew is very little. It's only that we have a bit of more trunois that are more towards that. But Hashem chose us and He forced us the Torah in order for us to develop our traits, in order, as I explained you probably, in order to be v'shachanti b'soichom, that this was the plan of Hashem in order how to lead the world. But the Kuzari very clearly says that the non-Jews don't have a capacity, even when they become Gerim, which is very, very strong, and a lot of questions on there is one of the Pirushim says that here is the first time that Shechoto, he says the Kuzari Bala Kuzari Choto Neget Achazal, where he goes Nota Choto Venota Neget Mash Chazal in them. So very strong words against the Kuzari here. But he says that even a Gernot. If we want, we can combine. If I can combine. If I can combine, I would like to suggest maybe Rav Kook's view, which I like very much. He claims that the neshama of a person, actually what makes me different from you is my personality. We all different in personality, character. And this is a neshama. So
Ari, I don't know what, we hear you much less strong now.
in our character. So basically the neshama, what it is a spark from Hashem, and each one of us receives that spark, and each one of us has a spark of one of the 10 combination of the 10 spheroids that makes us who we are with our own personality. And we have to develop that person, to accept that person. So basically it seems like the neshama for Rav Kook is the owner. And so when the Kuzari says that we have a higher kind of neshama, it means that we have this intuition to accept and see poor, can also be the fullness that the Rambam speaks about.
Ari, we hear you very low. The words keep on cutting off.
If, in other words, since the chunos for the Rambam, he accepted this is something which the Jew have, and Rav Kook says that the chunos is a neshama. So we can also speak in the Rambam's terminology that the neshama of Israel is of a different kind than the neshama of the God. Okay, because since we have certain traits that we give over to our children, that is that stays genetically in us, Achmonim, Baishonim, and so this is the neshama. So the character trait is a neshama, and so it means that there is something that is by the Jews that they're going to have, but they can cheat. So nothing wrong. So with the Rambam, they have followed the Shmatapokim, this medical book as we would call it, then they can also achieve the that we have. So going
Ari? Hello?
the Rambam, Kuzari says, forget it.
Hello?
They are not going to achieve that. It's something that we have to see that we know. And then
Ari, we cannot hear you.
we can say that there is. Hello?
We can hear you very badly.
And now, can you hear me?
And now it's better, yes, thanks.
Okay. Okay. So what I was just explaining that the Rambam view is that that everybody can achieve the same, even the Goyim can become Nevi'im, and that the Kuzari says no, there is a certain level that the Jews have something particular, which a Goyim cannot achieve. And I explained that since Rav Kook says that the personality, which is the Rambam's, explained that this is different, and according to Rav Kook, the personality is a neshama. So basically, we can combine both together and say that the Kuzari and the Rambam are not in a strong disagreement, but simply because when we speak about the neshama, we are speaking about the tuchunos, the character traits, which is the basis of the character traits, which is the neshama. And so therefore, those two are not necessarily in a strong disagreement. It's just whether it is metaphysical, as the Kuzari seems to be saying, or is it more of character traits that we give over genetically over to our children, but both come out to nearly the same conclusion. Voila. Any questions? Maybe quickly the Netziv. So basically the Netziv, just very quickly because it's already long. Those who need to leave can leave. I'm not upset though. But the Netziv actually explains. Well, I will just give it to you over. Probably not going to be inside. But the Netziv explains that Hevel, so Cain was a farmer, and Cain believed that you have to farm in order to have enough food, and the basics. So only the basics should be developed, and for the rest, you should only work as much as you need. So Cain was a person that worked in the farm, and he believed that he had enough food for him and for his brother. So he was the first that actually created this collective organ cooperation, where he developed a system, was well very good in it, and he had enough food for both Cain and himself and Hevel. And Hevel, he says, was somebody who went drawings and I don't know, somebody who liked music and what? Oh, that's the whole point. So Hevel was busy. He was continuously busy with painting, music, luxury, nice clothes and comfort and etc. So he was busy with other things. And Cain said, one second, I'm working and you are playing and doing all kinds of things, being busy. What's going on here? He was very upset. But Hashem actually said to them both that Hevel is more right. So Hevel is a good point if we accepted the korban of Hevel. So Cain was like, what's going on here? I'm the former. I'm saying that we should focus on basic food on the table, pasta, melech, food and basic. And he goes to luxury, culture, all kind of other things in life. He's busy with it the whole day. Just work, I have to work. So, yeah, now work, support them. So that's the discussion between Cain and Hevel. And so Hashem said to him, it's interesting, you can look it up in the Netziv, he said to them that Hashem actually prefers a Hevel, because Hevel is busy the whole day, and while Cain is only busy for a little bit of the time. The rest of the time, nothing. And doing nothing is worse than doing all kinds of stuff. So better the person busy, and not only busy with living, but also being busy with culture keeps you the whole. So Hashem said that therefore that's by Hashem, but then it said, okay, but ask your brother you, and so Cain went, asked to Hevel, please help me doing, please help me a little bit, show some operations, some effort, So he wanted to do it, but he was a shlemazut, and Cain told him, don't do it like that. Be careful, and he hit him as a sign to teach him, and he died. So he died to show you. So interesting Netziv. I'm not talking about the Netziv, and he died by mistake, and that's the whole story here. So the story is that he brings down that the luxury that we are aiming for is not something bad. So in other words, there is also in Halacha that the person should not go out on a ship he knows on Shabbos only the bar mitzvah. So the Mishpura says that Shlomo says even to Parnosa, somebody needs to travel for Parnosa if they're out, and Mishpura adds, even if he has already traveled, just wants more money, so wants more, it's also an obligation, and also performing mitzvah. If you go for more money than you already need for bread and butter and food. If you want more, it's also. So it's a very interesting mitzvah. So you have to understand it a bit more. You can read it inside. It's not in the beginning, the whole story. He explains it, then he continues on and explains all the psukim very nicely, how the psukim are a story. But I thought it's so in short, we spoke about heteronomy and autonomy. That Avraham Avinu already, the first Rashi already discusses the issue that we have today, and that Avraham Avinu was the symbol of Rachamim, had the challenge of saving hostages and the issue of collective punishment. We saw that the Inyan is it's a big deal for us to remove evil from the land of Israel, and not to be able to help Hashem to last keep that this is an opportunity that we can do it. We saw that the Tzelem Elokim is a symbol of equality of all humans. We saw that either Tzelem Elokim is the Tbuna, is the intellect, or it is the capacity to help others. It is the Neshama, it is the Guf, as the Maharal explained, even the Guf, the straight, standing straight, and the face of a person. We saw the Or HaChaim that the Tzelem Elokim means the Neshama, but the Tsalmenu means the Neshama, and the Tzelem Elokim means the Jewish Neshama. So here we're starting already to speak about the Jewish Neshama. Pinkus explains very nicely the Psukim like the Vilna Gaon, that when Hashem blows the Shomer, this is only the Jewish Shomer that he blows, and that we lost it. Basically, that's what he doesn't say, but that's how we must understand that we lost it after the sin, and that Avraham received it again. Then we saw the difference between the Rambam and the Kuzari, that this Neshama Israelis, Jewish Neshama, for the Rambam, it is purely Trunois. As I explained to you, this is by Shonim, Rachmonim, and Gomil Hasodim. It's only character trait. But for the Kuzari, it is really something which gives us the capacity to receive messages that come from above, that we have these receptors that we can receive this vision. Only the Jewish nation can receive it, and also only the one that are born Jewish, not the Gerim. And this has been confirmed also by the Meshech Chochmah. So Meshech Chochmah also said that's why a Ger cannot become a king. Also not the same concept that we cannot become Nevi'im. And then I explained, I combined both together by using Rav Kook, that the character traits are also basically Shomer. So Shomer defines my character traits. And therefore, both agree basically. So the Rambam agrees with the character traits of the Jews, and the Kuzari speaks about the Shomer of a Jew. And so basically, if the two are the same, then they both agree that there is some particular Jewish nation that the other nations have. But according to the Rambam, Goy can reach the same level of height as the Jew can. The Jew has just an advantage, has to, and the Goy does not really have to. Not Hashem, not the punishment. What, sorry? Yeah. Yeah. So the Yisrael is when Yaakov is asked, they are simple, then the idea of Yisrael is that we reach the goal. And Esau had more potential to reach Israel. Yeah. Because Esau is also the one that feeds the up the goal. Yeah. What? Even Cain, always the same. Always two brothers. So always Lot and Abraham, Esau, Ishmael, and Yitzchak, Esau and Yaakov, and Yosef. So it's always the two brothers. Yeah, to new level. Yeah. But possibly it is. It's once Yaakov was chosen to be the descendant, and Hashem said, okay, now that we found who is going to be, then we actually put that story, the story with how to achieve.
Hey, Gary. Thanks. Shkoyach.
Yeah, Imatzliach. And are you in Israel or are you in Antwerp?
No, I'm here.
You're here. Okay. That's Rabba.
Shkoyach.
Maybe any questions? Was a bit too long. A bit too long.